So let's start talking about self-help. I think before we start talking about self-help, let's talk about why I know a little bit about this subject. Okay, so I was 2, took my first asthma attack. So they tell me, clearly I can't remember. But I do remember being 5 and my mum waving bye and be left in hospital and not seeing her for a month. And that pretty much was my life up until I was about 13, because my asthma was so severe that the time it took to get the ambulance from the hospital to my home, they reckoned that I was going to die, so I had to have long-term intensive care. So I was there, the longest time was 2 years, but I was really in and out of hospital until I was 13, at which point I went to school for all of 2 years, which I hated. Imagine growing up in hospital for 13 years and then having to go to school. You're not exactly super enthusiastic about being told what to do. From there, I moved in with a young girl who was 21 at the time. I was maybe 16. She had a young baby. And after a year, I guess, of me being who I was at the time, she decided to give the baby back to the father, and we lived a rock and roll life for 4 years until she had enough of me and booted me out, and I was homeless for 6 months. So things didn't go terribly well after there. I became an amphetamine addict, and that took a long time to get over. But at the ripe old age of about 22, I decided to get myself together and managed to get a job in a health and fitness club, which sounds ironic, but back in those days, if you could walk, you could get a job in health and fitness. There, I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and decided that just because I was a poor, uneducated person without family, that I could actually make something of myself. So I worked hard, became a good salesperson for the health and fitness club, became a manager, moved away to take a job as an area manager, and from there I then started my own fitness club, and by the time I was 31 I had floated that on the stock market. Those 8 years from going from working for somebody to floating a company in the stock market, I had to learn everything, and I mean everything. I had to learn, and I made every possible mistake you could ever imagine. I was too nice to staff, too horrible to staff. I had zero idea how to manage people. I had no idea about finance or money. I had no idea how to build a health club. I had no idea about leases. I had no idea how to talk to agents. And that was just the first club. When we then had to start raising money, I had zero idea how to go about raising money. But I still managed to do that. I had zero idea about how to deal with partners, bringing them on board. When I first raised the first chunk of money to get us a step forward, I had to deal with banking people who are completely different to entrepreneurs. And when I had built 4 health clubs, and I had 50 staff, with each health club being in major cities, so they were all hundreds of miles apart. I had no idea how to control it. When we did floated the company on the stock market, I was thrust into a world of city bankers, and I had zero idea how to deal with those people, zero idea what they were talking about. So that whole journey was just a huge barrage of learning as you go and having to learn real fast. But I did it, and I floated the company at 31. The company we floated had 22 health clubs. Health club business was quite a difficult business to run, especially back then, because nobody really knew what they were doing. And I had to learn how to structure and manage the systems in order to control what then was about a 15 million turnover. Bearing in mind I had less than 2 or 3 years education. What I learned very quickly was that building any kind of company is really about engaging with each individual person in that company, because a company is just a bunch of people, and trying to figure out what their goals are and help them achieve a better life for themselves. And if you can do that and align that with the goals of the company, then you get to build a big company. And that's why I was successful. That, and the fact that I'd learned I had quite a strategic brain. I had learned how to build a system to control things. But I dealt with everything. I dealt with every type of human condition you could possibly imagine, from procrastination to lack of belief to having to train people. And when it comes to training, my training had a purpose, and now there's a big difference to this. So the world is full of coaches. You just have to go into Facebook or Instagram, and everybody's got an opinion about something. But it really are just opinions picked out of the world, and they're not really tested on anybody. When I was giving out advice to my team, it had a direct effect on the money that particular business made that week. It had a direct effect on the actions that person took. So as I used to train my managers, it's not what you say that matters. It's not actually what the person understands that matters. It's what the person does that matters. I mean, you hear so many people saying, oh, well, you might as well just do it yourself. Well, those people are just idiots. No, you just need to learn how to communicate in a way that gets the person to do what you want them to do. And they're only going to do what you want them to do if there's something in it for themselves. So everything that we taught, from like I said, procrastination to belief to planning, to eradicating these thoughts in your head like, I can't be bothered, what's the point of doing this, were all done on the basis that they had to get somebody to do something that was going to help them and help the company. And I think that really is what separates my advice from the advice of so many people online, where they've never had to suffer the consequences of their advice. They're just putting it out there. Sounds good, but does it work? Who knows? What I say, I know works because I made a living doing it. From there, I sold my shares in that company. People say, why did you sell? Well, I sold because I went in the business to make money, and that was the point. I built another company, and I sold that to a larger company. From there, I coached until one of my smart aleck friends said, you should put this stuff online, which is what we've done. Now, what's different between our program? One positive step is based around what I've learned. Okay. People say there are 7 secrets to success. There is not 7 secrets to success. You are a jigsaw puzzle, and that jigsaw puzzle has, or your ambitions are a jigsaw puzzle, and depending on how complicated that puzzle is, depending on how, my glasses are all really wonky here. I mean, I can never really work out if it's my head that's wonky or my glasses that's wonky. Whatever your goal is a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah, that's where I was. So whether that jigsaw puzzle is big or small depends on how complicated it is, how big it is, how much knowledge you currently have, how much resources you have, etc, 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 etc. Some goals you literally have no parts of the puzzle. Some goals you might have half of the puzzle. Some goals you might have most of it and you're just short of a few bits. So when people say there's 7 secrets to success, they really are just talking out of their well, where they sit down, because it's just not true. And I wouldn't even like to. We're up to now 900 positive steps, and a positive step is just simply something you can do that takes you closer to your goal. It's effectively part of that puzzle, and I don't think 900 is even close to being the things that are stopping people from succeed. We're going to keep adding to these as we discover them. I think ultimately it'll go into the thousands. So there's not 7 ways to succeed. There's your puzzle and the bits that's missing, and identifying those bits and practicing them until you get them right, and then putting those bits in, and then you'll succeed. Okay? So that's what one positive step is. It's about finding the bits of your puzzle and practicing them until you succeed. But there are 2 things that really are consistent in everybody that achieves something. And that is that these people do put in enough time, and they do the right things in that time. Now, again, this is dependent on your goal. If your goal is very easy, you might have to not put in much time and only do a few things. If your goal is very, very big and complicated, and you don't know that much about it, you probably have to put in lots of time learning how to do the right things first of all, before you figure out what the right things are, and then do enough of them. Okay? But it does boil down to simply doing enough of the right things and putting in enough time. So think about it. You can put in a lot of people put in a lot of time, but do the wrong things but don't succeed. Some people seem to do the right things but don't put in enough time and don't succeed. But if you do them both, you will succeed. So one positive step is built all around that, because it helps you discover and hold yourself accountable for what you're doing and the time you're putting in. And we do that simply by the things that you do. You log down on your one positive step platform, and then at the end of the week we'll show you exactly what you've done, and we'll take you forward from there, working out what you should be doing the following week. Okay? Now this is a far cry from watching stuff, motivational experts that will randomly make you feel good, etc, because it's based on reality. And because one of the realities is a lot of stuff that you're going to have to do to succeed, you won't like doing. A lot of the stuff you'll have to succeed, you won't feel motivated to do. And the obvious reason for that is if you were motivated and it was easy, you would have it by now. Okay. Which brings me to another point, is what comes first, motivation or action? And there is no right answer to this. Sometimes you're motivated, so you take action. Sometimes you're not motivated, but you have to do it, so you do it, and then you feel motivated. Yeah. But what is absolutely true is that if you don't put in enough time doing the right things, you will not succeed. And that's where people fail. In fact, worse than that, what people tend to do is they tend to listen to motivational speakers who make them feel good, and that little dopamine hit they get, and it's called dopamine for a reason, I think. It's the dopamine hit. Doesn't really help you that much. In fact, often it's the worst thing that we do. What we then, now I lost my thought, I still have to cut. I'm not going to cut this, I'm just going to keep blabbering. And then what they do is they don't take action because they feel good. They then feel good for a day or half a day or 2 days or 3 days or whatever like that, and then they realise, oh my god, I'm no further forward because I'm not taking any action. So what they then do is they then go back and watch some more motivation. A year later, they're no further forward. Okay, the only thing that's going to get you to move forward and achieve something new is taking action and doing the right things. Okay, so our system is completely set up to get you to do that, from early morning check-in, focusing on what you want, your goal, focusing on the rewards, focusing on what happens if you fail, and focusing on a simple plan. Okay, we've got a very, very good simple planning tool. From there, what you do is you just simply, now that you've got your goal in your brain and you know the rewards, because you're working for rewards, we'll cover that in other videos, you can then go ahead and take the action you need, and you can log it, and you can see what you're doing each day. And at the end of the week, we'll show you what you're doing at the end of each week. Your plan will outline your stepping stones. You're here, you've got to get here, you can't really see that. And then we'll put a few stepping stones in between there, and all the action you're taking will be geared towards those stepping stones. You'll have a vision board, which a digital vision board, which you can add videos from YouTube, your videos, home videos, inspirational speakers, anything like that. So you can instantly pull them up on your phone and be motivated. You have an ideas board. So any idea that comes to your head, you can write it down. It'll go into your ideas board. You'll have an album of all your achievements. We'll count all your achievements, and everything you achieve goes on a feed, just like Facebook, that you can keep completely private if you don't want anybody, or you can add friends, which we suggest you do, and then your friends can send you inspirational advice, but also, more importantly, say well done when you've done something. Okay, so if you say, right, I've just been out for a run for 25 minutes, often that's, if you've got nobody around you, say well done. Gratification is good if you've gone and done something. On our system, it goes onto a feed like Facebook, and if you add friends, they can say, hey, well done, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel good for the right reason, because you've done something, but also it inspires them. Just like when they go and do something and you see it and say well done, then it inspires you, because you're part of a group of people that are doing. So that's kind of like a little bit of me and a little bit about the program. If you want to check it out, there's a link at the bottom or the top of this, wherever you see it. It's free for now because you've been one of our beta testers. This hasn't been an easy thing to build. It's taken us 5 years of trial and error, and I put in personally 10,000 hours because I log all my positive steps. So I hope you join us, and let's go chase those goals together. My name is Scott, and yes, I am Scottish.